to be Unit 3, Lesson 4, but I want to start us off going over a previous EOG question. This is actually relates us to Unit 2, and so I'm going to pull up my pen. All right, so whenever you're reading these questions for testing, I want you to make sure that you're using your strategies. So first thing we're going to do is read the question. There are 3 peaches for every 4 strawberries in a grocery store. How many peaches and strawberries can be in a grocery store? So the first thing I'm going to notice is this sounds like a ratio. There are 3 peaches for every 4 strawberries. So I'm going to make sure I mark that. 3 peaches for every 4 strawberries in a grocery store. I need to find out how many peaches and strawberries can be in a grocery store. And so I have my answer choices: 42 peaches and 56 strawberries, 36 peaches and 52 strawberries, 33 peaches and 40 strawberries, 39 peaches and 48 strawberries. So I know I'm probably going to use process of elimination in this problem. And that will kind of help me narrow it down. So I know that when I'm finding ratios, we have a ratio of 3 peaches to 4 strawberries. So we have that 3 to 4 ratio. So we can check them. 42. And remember, we talked about cross multiplying. 42 peaches is going to be the same as 3 peaches for every 4 strawberries. So I got that 42 right here. And that goes right here. And I need to find out if 56 is supposed to be here. And I do that by cross multiplying. So 42 times 4. This is calculator active, so you can get your calculator out and try that. If you don't have your calculator, you can work it out by hand. But I hope that you get just a basic calculator, because it will help for these calculator active problems. So 42 times 4 is 168. So I'm going to write 168. Now we got to divide that by 3. 168 divided by 3. Again, you should have a calculator. And so that would be 56. Well, look, that's also 56. So you know what? This might be our right answer. But I know when I'm taking a test, I don't choose the first answer. I want to make sure I check them all. So we're going to check B. And I'm going to change my color just so it doesn't look confusing. Maybe it will let me change the color. I don't know if it's going to let me. There we go. Yep, blue. So we're going to do 36 peaches. So again, I'm going to cross multiply 36. I'm going to find out if it is 52. I'm going to find that out by knowing, I know we have 3 peaches for every 4 strawberries. And I'm going to cross multiply by multiplying 36 times 4. If you would pause this video, you can work it out and check your answer. So when I multiply 36 by 4, I get 144. And I'm going to divide that by 3. And I get 48. So guess what? This number is not 48, so I'm going to mark this off. B is not the right answer. Now I'm going to check C. I'm going to change my pen color again. We're going to check 33. 33 is equivalent to that 3 peaches, 4 strawberries. So we have 33 multiplied by 4, and that gives me 132. And I'm going to divide that by 3. That equals 44. So this is 40, not 44. So C is incorrect. Change my pen color just so you guys can see it. I'm going to use black this time for D. And yes, I will spend my time and work this all out, even though I think it's A because that was correct. 39 over a number I'm not sure about is equal to 3/4. Use my calculator. I have 39 multiplied by 4. I want you to pause this video and work this out by yourself because this is good practice. I got 156. If you notice, I just put it right here next to my 3 because I'm dividing 156 by 3. And I get 52. This is not 52. So D is incorrect. So my answer is A. Let me check. That is correct. All right, so we are on our Unit 3, Lesson 4, Converting Units. So by the end of today's lesson, I want you to know that when we measure things in two different types of measurements, such as our previous lesson on centimeters versus inches, or kilograms versus grams, that the pairs of measurements are equivalent ratios. So when we are comparing like centimeters to inches, those are actually going to be equivalent ratios. I can convert measurements from one unit to another using a double number line, tables, or by thinking about how much for one. So really our Unit 3 is building off of Unit 2. We're still using a lot of these tables and ratios. So I want you to find these values mentally. So you're going to need to pause the video every now and then. So 1/4 of 32. And I want you to hit pause and solve this mentally. So I know when I solve this, I'm going to multiply 32 by 1 and then bring across my 4. And then it becomes 32 divided by 4. You may have worked it out a different way. You may think about what times 4 gives me 32. And our answer for here is 8. Now solve 3/4 of 32. Hit pause and solve this mentally. So I know when I am solving this, I already know that 8 is 1/4. So I might do 8 times 3. That is one way you could do it. Or you can do 32 divided by 4 times 3, which is the same thing that we did there. What did you get? I got 24. All right, pause the video and check and solve this and then check your answers. So we have 3/8 of 32. So I'm going to take that 32 and divide it by 8. I'm dividing it into 8. So I have 32 and I'm dividing it into 8. When I do that, I get 4. Now I need to multiply that 4 by 3. And I get 12. And our last one, if you would pause the video and solve this mentally, we have 3/8 of 64. In case you didn't notice, 32 to 64, 64 is twice 32. It's 32 times 2. So I take my 64 and divide it by 8. And I know that 8 times 8 is 64. That's one of the multiplication facts that I have memorized. So I know that 1/8 is 8. Because 8 times 8 is 64. So I have 8 times 3. And that is 24. All right. Practicing these mentally, it will really help you. So please make sure you take the time to do that. All right, so we're going to talk about a road trip. Elena and her mom are on a road trip outside the United States. So in the United States, we use miles per hour. But outside of the United States, we tend to use kilometers per hour. So, Elena sees this road sign. It says maximum 80. Elena's mom is driving 75 miles per hour, and she gets pulled over for speeding. 1. The police officer explains to Elena's mom that 8 kilometers is approximately 5 miles. So, in that case, how many kilometers are in 1 mile? So, remember that, learning about rates. So, in order to figure this out, we're going to divide our kilometers by our miles. Kilometers over miles. And you actually, for this, you can leave it in this form of 8 over 5. If you did divide it out, that approximately is 1.6 kilometers. So there is 1.6 kilometers in 1 mile. So a mile is smaller or larger? What do you think? A mile is larger than a kilometer. A kilometer is 1.6, so a little over 1.5 kilometers equals 1 mile. So how many miles are in 1 kilometer? We will have our 5/8. So miles in a kilometer, we have miles on top, kilometers on the bottom. So kilometers and miles, you're going to put kilometers on top and miles on the bottom. And miles in kilometers, you're putting miles on top divided by kilometers. So when you're trying to figure out how many of one thing, such as kilometers, are inside of a mile, you put that number on top. When you're finding out how many of one thing is in the other, what's inside is going on top. So how many miles are in a kilometer? Where that's when our miles goes on top of our kilometers. So whatever we're trying to find out, the how many is going on top in this situation. For a second, I apologize for that. So we're going to continue on. We're going to start with number 2. If the speed limit is 80 kilometers per hour and Elena's mom was driving 75 miles per hour, was she speeding and by how much? I'm going to change my pen color here to black so we can see it easier. So we know that she's going 80 kilometers per hour. So that's 80 over 1. Now we need to convert kilometers into miles per hour. And we know that there are how many miles in how many kilometers. So what we know from up here is there are 5 miles inside of our 8 kilometers. So, knowing that, 80 kilometers, we're going to multiply it by 5 over 8. Now you go, well, how do I know if I do 8 over 5 or 5 over 8? So, we have our kilometers, right, in 1 hour. And we need to find out our miles per hour instead of kilometers. So we need to know how many miles in a kilometer. So we're going to multiply the number of miles, in this case 5, the multiplying miles by kilometers. But we have to divide by 8 because that's 8. So 80 times 5 is what? Work that out. You can do it in your head. You can do it with a calculator. I know that 8 times 5 is 40. So I'm just going to add a 0 to that. So that's 400. And then we're going to divide 400 by 8. 8. And that gives us 50 miles per hour. Now, let's say, for instance, you made a mistake and you did 8 over 5. if you made the mistake of multiplying 80 times 8, that would be 640. And then if you divided that by 5, that would be 128. So your answer would have come out that if she was driving miles per hour, would be 128. Now that, if you think about it, would not be right at all. Because we know that kilometers are smaller. So we have 50 miles per hour. So the speed limit, well, it's 80 kilometers per hour. It's really 50 miles per hour. Now, was her mom going 50 miles per hour? No. She was going 75 miles per hour. So we can find out how much by taking how much she was going, 75 miles per hour, and subtracting the speed limit, 50. So she was going 25 miles per hour too fast. I hope that makes sense. You could have also converted how fast she was going of the 75 miles per hour into how many kilometers per hour she was going. You could have converted it that way as well. Either one is okay. But what I want you to notice here is how we have to convert our kilometers per hour into miles per hour in order to compare them. So a veterinarian uses weights and kilograms to figure out what dosages of medicine to prescribe for animals. For every 10 kilograms, there are 22 pounds. First thing I want us to make sure we notice is we have kilograms and comparing it to pounds. So calculate each animal's weight in kilograms. So that's the first thing we need to know is the weight of each of these animals in kilograms. Explain or show your reasoning. If you get stuck, consider drawing a double number line or a table. So for every 10 kilograms, there are 22 pounds. So we know we have kilograms. I'm going to draw a table. To pounds. I'm going to put LB for pounds because that's the symbol for pounds. Kilograms to pounds. So we know our ratio is 10 kilograms for 22 pounds. Right? So let's do A. Fido, our Labrador, is how many pounds? He's 88. So anytime we're using a table, we want things to be equivalent or equal. Equivalent ratios. So we need to find out the kilograms. This is where you can cross multiply. I'm going to change my color to red. So you can come out and we can draw our 10 kilograms for 22 pounds is going to be the same as our missing number over our 88 pounds. Now, so we have 10 times 88, which is 880. Just got to add that 0. And then you're going to divide that by 22. I want you to notice something. We're multiplying 10 times 88. That's the same as here. And then dividing it by 22. If you look at our chart, you almost can do this if you know how to cross multiply without drawing it out. Now, if that confuses you, please draw it out. So we have 880 divided by 22. And that gives us 40. And if you hear my cat meowing, I apologize. So next we're going to do spot. Spot. Spot the Beagle weighs 33 pounds. So we're going to do the same thing of our conversions of our kilograms of 10 over, we don't know, our missing number, is the same as our 22 pounds over how many pounds our Beagle Spot is, which is 33. If I can type or write out 33. So again, multiply, cross multiply, 10 times 33, which is 330, and divide that by 22. And you should get 15. Now we have little tiny Bella Chihuahua. She only weighs 5.5 pounds. You can write it as 5.5 or 5.5 because 5.5 is the same as 5.5. Either one is fine. And you go, okay, how do I cross multiply with a decimal? You might be panicking. So we have our 10 over our unknown number, right, is equal to, remember, you only cross multiply when things are equal. Our 5.5, or, oh, no, our 22, sorry, over 5.5. So 5.5 times 10 is actually quite easy because you just move the decimal place. So we have 55. And we're going to divide 55 by 22. I'll give you a chance to work that out. 55 divided by 22. It comes to 2.5. 2.5. Or 2.5. So, Bella the Chihuahua is 2.5 kilograms. Spot the Beagle is 15 kilograms. And Fido the Labrador is 40 kilograms. So now that we know how much medicine to give. And let's look at question number 2. I'm going to change my pen color for you. A certain medication says it can only be given to animals over 25 kilograms. How much is this in pounds? So now we need to convert this into pounds. But wait, how do I know? Well, we can use the same formula. So we know that 10 kilograms, right, over pounds is 10 over 22. Kilograms over pounds. And we need this to equal kilograms over pounds. We don't know the pounds, that's missing, right? But we know 25 kilograms. So, again, you're going to cross multiply 25 times 22. And you get 550. And then you're going to divide that by 10, which is 55. Another way you could also work it out is if you know that 10 kilograms is 22 pounds, then 1 kilogram is 22 divided by 10. And then you can multiply that, 25 kilograms to become 22 over 10 times 25, which is 55. I always like the cross multiplying. It helps me. So our answer here is 55 pounds. All right. So this is the same chart that we just made. We had the 22 pounds to kilograms. Now, if you notice, I did mine kilograms to pounds. It doesn't matter which side you put it on. It works out the same. What I need you to make sure that you understand, when we have two measurements, such as pounds and kilograms, and we're measuring the same object, such as a dog or a cat, or if you're measuring a brick, or you're measuring socks, or you're measuring your phone or a pencil, like in our Unit 3, Lesson 3 stations that you did, that I want you to notice how no matter what object or animal or whatever you are weighing, even if you're measuring it in kilograms versus pounds, it still weighs the same. Like that cat or that dog or that pencil weighs the same, even if your number changes because of your unit. And what that means is you are making equivalent ratios. These charts become equivalent ratios, where we were learning about those in our Unit 2. So by finding out the rate per one, so like the ratio per one, that is how, for instance here, our 1 pound is equal to 10 divided by 22. That's the rate per 1 pound. And then we can use that to multiply out and find our other missing kilograms by using charts or anything else. But knowing that that is how we create ratios is what you really need to understand from this unit. I know sometimes some of us get hung up on struggling with the math, but here what I really want you to focus on is how it is converting to make those equivalent ratios. All right, so for our cool down, you're going to do this one on your own and submit it to me. There are some practice problems that you can do to practice. Your grade for practice problems comes from you trying and doing your best on them. And your grade from Cooldown for the 20 points that you earn for the Cooldown is based on your understanding. So a large bucket holds 5 gallons of water, which is about the same as 19 liters of water. So again, you can make that ratio of 5 gallons to 19 liters. A small bucket holds 2 gallons of water. About how many liters does it hold? So remember that chart that we made earlier? You can make a T-chart. You can also make a double number line if you're comfortable using double number lines. I'm not going to solve this for you because I need you to do that so I can see that you understand. And I will have office hours if you need some help. All right. Have a great day.